taking some points on the unit circle and graphing it on a different xy plane. But what we're graphing this time is theta. Okay, so theta is going to be along the horizontal axis here, and then sine of theta is going to be along the vertical axis. And just a reminder that on the unit circle, so on this unit circle here, sine of theta is the y value of all these points. So if we know what the y values are, we can graph that on this new graph that's graphing theta. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing. That's a potential point of confusion to mix up the xy coordinate plane over here in the unit circle. So this xy coordinate plane corresponds to the cosine and the sine, whereas the horizontal axis here corresponds to theta itself. So we're taking theta and we're plotting it along a horizontal axis here. So let's start all the positive values of sine. Start with 30, and you get this segment here because that's the y value, the vertical distance. And you're going to take that and transfer it to this point here on the new xy plane. So that's 30 degrees. Okay. Let's continue 45 degrees. So sine has this length or this value, whatever it is. It's root 2 over 2. And then transfer that onto the xy plane. And we can continue like this all the way around. 90 should be, sine of 90 is 1, 120, 135, 150, and there's really a little dot right here at 180 for 0, okay, but I'm going to leave it blank for now. And then we look at the negative values. For 210, sine is negative, so this red bar here is actually going to go below the horizontal axis. Okay. So we're going to do these for all of the negative values, and you can see the picture of the sine function starting to take shape. If you look back at the chart for the 12 basic function, you can compare this image and see what the sine function looks like. Whoops, that's a little too far. And you should continue and fill out this entire chart for all of these other values too, and see what that looks like as well, filling out all the negative values, so we get a clear picture of what the sine function looks like. Okay. And if you have a hard time with this or understanding the transfer between the unit circle and the xy plane, don't worry, just ask your teacher to help you learn this a little bit better. So we're going to move on now to the graph of cosine of theta. And remember that on the unit circle, cosine of theta is the x values. So we're going to measure the horizontal distance to all of these points and then plot them on this graph. Okay, so first at 30, and one more thing I want to point out is that for sine, all of the negative values are in the lower half of the circle. For cosine, because cosine is all the x values, all of the negative values are on the left side of the unit circle. So it's a little bit different. So we'll start out here. This is cosine of 0, which actually has a length of 1, and we're going to plot that there. Okay. Because the vertical axis here represents cosine of theta, and the horizontal axis is still just theta. 30 degrees has this x value, or this horizontal length. I'm going to plot that here. Same with 45, 60, 120. Now that's the first negative one. Okay, so I'll back that up just a minute here. 120 is actually in the second quadrant. Okay, so the cosine value, or the x value on the unit circle, is negative. So we're going to plot that on our new graph here below the horizontal axis. 135, and again, the left side of the circle is all negative values. And then now once we get past 270, we're back up to all the positive values again. Whoops. And here you have it. The let me get my screen back up here. So once you're done with all of this, I'm gonna you can fast forward through this to go to the end. But once you're done with all of this, you should get a pretty clear picture of what cosine of theta looks like, and you should, for your own sake of learning, you need to fill out, continue doing this for the negative numbers, as well as for all of the positive numbers. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful here so I don't mess up my PowerPoint again. But that's 300, 315 is positive, and 330 is positive as well. Okay? And then 360 is going to give me a bar on 1. So you should take out a pencil and then sketch in what this curve is going to look like, and it should give you a pretty clear picture. And so now I'm going to end this video here, and we're going to transition to another video that talks about these graphs of sine and cosine, and more importantly, what happens when we make transformations on them.